Good morning, good morning, good morning. Merry stupid o'clock, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels. And like every morning at stupid o'clock, we are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we get started this morning, the usual disclaimers. First off, you are going to see the link to this article we're taking a look at today right there in the description box, alongside the other pertinent links of the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, where we on this channel get the bulk of our information from. The also ever-present templates. Sign your name, click on your senator. Takes less than 2 minutes, folks, and we are trying to end aversive punishments and improper restraints in schools. This does claim lives every single year, folks. Also, we have the ever-present, self-explanatory Change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. If you haven't signed it, please do, and please share it on all your social media. So, we're doing a little bit of change of pace this morning, getting a little break from all the legal documents. We are going back in time here a little bit, back to February the 15th, 2013. And if the name Brian A. Joyce, Senator Brian A. Joyce, is familiar to you, it should be. This is one of the main senators that is in the state of Massachusetts that was fighting against the JRC for years and years and years and years and years. He is, unfortunately, he has passed away some time ago. But this goes into his efforts to assist in stopping the JRC of their horrific abuse. Now, some other disclaimers real quick. When we are talking about the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of, as well as see clips of video surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you have young children present, please use your headphones. Also, folks, it is 3:25 a.m., stupid o'clock in the morning, and I'm spilling tea on myself. It's been that kind of morning, so if I stumble over my words, folks, my apologies to everyone in advance. Alright, so without further ado, Office of Senator Brian A. Joyce for immediate release, February 15th, 2013. And we won't read over any of that. Senator Joyce applauds government's efforts to stop abuse at JRC. Commonwealth files motion to vacate court order allowing the use of shock treatment on disabled children. Excuse me, allergies. I did say it was kind of morning, right? Boston. Senator Brian A. Joyce applauded George Deval Patrick and his administration for filing a motion in probate and family court to vacate a court order that has been in place since 1987, allowing the Judge Rotenberg Center, JRC in Canton, to continue to use aversive therapies like painful electric skin shocks on disabled children. Think about this. You have the governor of the state can't manage to get this to stop. Imagine that. Just imagine that for 5 minutes. Right? That's insane. No single institution or company or anything really should be able to have such absolute power that not even the governor of the state can protect those kids. That's insane. Moving on. The governor has always been an ally when it comes to protecting these severely disabled children from JRC's barbaric practices, said Joyce. It's a little bit ableist and a little incorrect. First off, quit using these functioning labels severely, not severely. Functionality varies, people. Pick up a book sometime. Sorry. I did say I was kind of in a mood this morning. This comes on the heels of the FDA's meeting with the JRC over their use of GED shock devices that have not even been approved for use but are strapped onto disabled children right now, administering painful skin shocks for simple misbehaviors. Remember, I went over that when we were going over the FDA hearings. Remember, the GED 3 and the GED 4A, which is in use right now, has not received any approval or licensing from the FDA. None. None. Yet it's still protected. Insane, isn't it? It is time for this order to be vacated and close this dark chapter in how we allow disabled people to be treated in our state. And remember, this is what Senator Joyce is getting wrong. First off, the JRC calls them misbehavior so they can get away with it. They call misbehavior blinking too many times. I wish to God I was kidding. Go into the description box. I have a link there of Jennifer Masumber's behavioral sheet over things she could be shocked for. Pull it up if you don't believe me. Literally blinking too much, literally waving your hand in front of your face are shockable offenses. And cursing. You know, like every teenager does. Good Lord. They would have never took me off the 4-point board. In 1987, a settlement was reached between the JRC and the Commonwealth, allowing the continued use of adversives. The court order was supposed to be vacated in 1988, but was extended indefinitely because the JRC was not yet listed a year after the order's issuance. Which is insane. The fact that they're getting away with this for over 30 years on a technicality that should have been remedied a long time ago is completely insane. And the only thing that makes any kind of sense at all is hands are being greased. That's the only way I can see with this insanity being able to continue and perpetuate all the way up into 2021. At the same time, the GED skin shock devices were not yet in use, and that adversive therapy consisted of water sprays, taste adversive, muscle squeezes, spanks, pinches, and restraint time outs. The JRC continually defends its actions based on this court order and claims that it denies the Department of Developmental Services, blah, 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 the right to regulate or prohibit the use of painful skin shocks and other adversives, which is insane. It's insane. Essentially, this is what the JRC is saying. Let me put it in a nutshell. Yes, the DDS has the right to yank the licenses for other programs that don't meet their regulations, but we're special. And you just don't understand. These people are severe. They're not like the other kids at the other programs. And this 1988 court order here says we can do whatever the hell we want with no consequences. So, yeah. Yeah, right? Insane. It is insane that the DDS, their position is to regulate and license every single other program and services for people with developmental disabilities and mental issues. But the JRC is special And they get to be above the law and the regulations because an outdated, over 30-year settlement agreement. In spite of the fact that since then, treatment and pharmacology has evolved monumentally. Insane. Insane. And they continue to get away with it. Sorry, I knew I was going to go on a rant. Moving on, our motion would vacate the 1987 court order, which is outdated and inconsistent with the current state of behavioral treatment for persons with disabilities. Try light years. Light years different. Light years, said Alec Loftus, Communications Director for the Department of Health and Human Services. JRC is the only provider in the country that uses electric skin shocks to control behavior in children and adults with intellectual disabilities. I'm sorry, maybe I'm paranoid, but anytime anyone wants to talk about controlling, and they use the word behavior to get away with it, you should be concerned. In response to Governor Patrick's concerns about these treatments, the administration filed regulations in 2011 to ban the use of aversive therapies for any student who was not already receiving them through a court-approved treatment plan, which is still insane. That's not far enough. You're still giving the judges and the JRC absolute power over these students. Moving on. As a result, no new behavioral plans with aversive therapies have been put into place since those regulations went into effect. Then why is there 250 students on it right now? I wonder if this has been reversed. We might have to look into that. Our goal is to ensure that all individuals in the Commonwealth receive safe treatments in line with the best practices in the medical field, and we are optimistic the court will rule in our favor. On Thursday, the Commissioners of DDS and the Department of Early Education and Care, as represented by the Attorney General's Office, filed a motion to remove the court order and subject the JRC to the rules and regulations put forth by the departments. Since the original court order, the accepted standard of care has evolved drastically. That's an understatement. Currently, professional opinion overwhelmingly believes that aversive therapies are substantially more intrusive and restrictive than alternative treatments, of which there are all kinds. And they work. Exhibit A. Hi, how you doing? Just saying. DDS regulations require programs like the JRC use the least intrusive and restrictive options available. Subjecting the JRC to these regulations would likely mean the elimination of the painful GED devices because they are professionally unnecessary and inappropriate and detrimental to the public interest. So this is encouraging the governor. Read that again. The governor, when they started doing some investigation. All the way back in 2013. Here's some interesting notes I want you to keep in mind after we read this. First off, as of right now, that over 30-year-old settlement agreement is still used right now, right as we speak, as the permission for the JRC to do whatever the hell they want to those students. Okay? That settlement agreement to this date has still not been vacated in the Massachusetts courts. And that is in spite of the fact that in 2013, the governor got involved. The state's attorney general office got involved. And it is still in action. Think about that. Think about the kind of absolute authority that the JRC seems to wield, and the fact that not even the governor and the state attorney general's office are able to touch them. And you all wonder why we went over their heads to federal and to the UN. I also want you to think about this here. The fact of the matter is, this law passed a long time ago that there were supposed to be no new students on GED 4A starting as of 2011. The students that were already on the GED, it's 2021. They should have aged out of the system by now a good long time ago. And as of right now, there are still students that are on the GED 4A as we speak. So, the only conclusion I can come to, and this is just speculation, I do not know for sure. I'm going to have to look into it to confirm. But my only conclusion I can infer from this is that they are still putting new students on the device. That's the only thing that makes sense. That's the only thing that makes sense. Because the ones that were on it back in 2011 should have aged out of the system by now a long damn time ago. But we know for a fact that there are still students there that are on the devices, still getting court ordered to be on the devices. So I'm going to have to do some digging into this and see what's going on there. It smells fishy. It smells very, very fishy. Third, you have to think about the hopelessness of those students. Think about it. Think about all the people that have been involved. We are talking, let's see here. We've had DDS. We've had Senator Joyce. We've had the Massachusetts governor and the state attorney general's office involved. We have involved the UN, and then we involved the FDA. And every single time the JRC seems to win out. So how do you think those students feel? Seeing defeat after defeat after defeat. This is why this is so important. This is why I say we are the only hope. The only hope these kids got. We cannot allow the JRC to have absolute power and be able to do horrific, horrible things to people with disabilities and continue to get away with it time and time and time again. We cannot allow this place to continue to be untouchable. We need pressure. We need international, national, and local pressure. As I've said before, we need all eyes on Canton, Massachusetts. So please continue to share, folks. Continue to get the documents out there. Please share the links in the description box. Those links have links to templates, senators, senator offices, and contact information. Folks, we need your help. We got to put the pressure on the people in power who have the ability and the authority to shut down this place of horrors forever. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and close out for this morning. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So folks, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. Feed the algorithm. Feed it. I do appreciate your time this morning. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.